All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Marker Balance. My name is Mark, and today I just wanted to make a quick, brief little episode for you guys and share a quick message. We just passed our 3-year anniversary of the Star Wars Marker Balance podcast. Started on January 3rd, 2021, right in the midst of the pandemic, which really gave me the inspiration to start this whole podcast. So you've probably heard that story before if you've been listening to the podcast for a long time. If you're new here, that's the quick little summary. I was inspired during COVID. I had a lot of time on my hands. I loved Star Wars since I was, as young as I could make memories. And I wanted to talk about Star Wars because I feel I had something to say and value to add to the conversation around Star Wars. And in my own way, I was a part of Star Wars if I was part of the conversation, which I always thought was cool. And I'm glad that I've been able to do that. I really do feel like I have contributed, even in a small way, to Star Wars over the past 3 years. So again, I want to thank you guys all for the constant support. If you reach out to me on Instagram, if you comment, if you like a reel, if you like a post, if you like a book review, if you see me in person and you say, hey, I love what you're doing. I have checked out a couple episodes. I've listened to all your episodes. I've listened to one episode. All of it means the world to me, and I love just being able to interact with people because of my expression of my love for Star Wars. Now, I know I did a year in review for 2023 for Star Wars, but again, I just want to say it was really fun to cover Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Bad Batch, even if some of those disappointed me in some ways and blew me away in other ways. I was also able to talk about Jedi Survivor, some of the High Republic stuff, which I was never able to fully express on the podcast. I've been really enjoying bringing that to you guys in a bigger form through long-form podcast episodes about the subject. But I think the biggest and most rewarding thing for me in the past year was being asked to join and contribute to the Cinema Wave Media Network, Culture Wave Media Network, run by Darian Scalamoni. He's come on the podcast to tell his Star Wars story, and I've absolutely loved our collaboration and being able to work on their podcast network to bring my expertise of Star Wars to them and expand their audience, and also having my audience being introduced to their content, which covers everything from TVs to movies, news about media and entertainment, reviews for everything and anything under the sun that's out there in the TV and movie space. Really great group of people over there. Highly recommend you go check them out if you haven't. But they've given me a great opportunity to not only talk Star Wars, but also talk about other stuff I'm really passionate about, which is animation, which I know you guys all know that I have a sweet spot for animated Star Wars. I think it's a very underappreciated medium. I think while we have had some of our best Star Wars ever through animation, I still feel like in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of looked down upon as a genre or a medium for kids. And I just don't believe that. I really think that animation should be utilized to a higher degree to tell Star Wars stories moving forward. And on the Cinema Wave Media Network, I'm really able to dive into that love for animation because I think there is so much out there, and I think we're in a golden age of animation from all the anime that have been pushing the boundaries of the medium. Also, we have Western media finally taking notice, like shows like Invincible or Arcane or Primal or Scavenger's Reign. There's so much great animation out there globally that I think people should take notice of and realize that animation isn't just for kids. It is a powerful medium to tell amazing stories that just aren't possible in live action. So again, just want to show my gratitude to them for having me on full time to talk about animation. And of course, anytime Star Wars news or movies or TV shows come out, I will definitely be their Star Wars contributor for that. So now I want to get to the main point of this episode, other than just celebrating 3 years with you guys and all the accomplishments that we've had in 2023. This podcast is, at the end of the day, a hobby for me. And I always want to keep it as a hobby. I never want it to become too serious or take over my life to the point where it's everything I do, because then it becomes closer to work. And of course, working in Star Wars and revolving my life around Star Wars would be amazing. But unfortunately, there's a big monster that comes with that kind of work, and that's social media. And for me, I have very much fallen out of love with the social media aspect of running a podcast. I love recording, I love writing, I love talking about Star Wars, but in order to run a successful podcast, you do have to put yourself out there on social media. And I think everyone knows, if you know me in person or if you've kind of picked up on it on my social media feed, I'm not the biggest fan of the constant rush to create content and post content daily. That's not really something that's in my nature. I don't think it's very natural. And doing it on my own by myself is a lot of work. I know it might not seem that way when you see the reels, but a lot of design, thought, and care goes into everything. And this is not me complaining. I've been happy to do it. I've enjoyed doing it for the most part. But I do want to be honest that it's not something I look forward to. And because this is a hobby, it's kind of taken a lot of the fun out of it outside of the recording booth. And this all manifests as a huge time commitment that is harder and harder to justify as I get older. I'm starting a new job this week, and I know over the past couple weeks I've been a lot more active with my reels and posting more reels from an episode, but I just don't think that's sustainable moving forward, and I don't want to set that precedent that I'll be posting multiple reels after one episode because I have had the time to do so. I did lose my job back at the beginning of October, so I've had a lot of time on my hands, and during that time I've had a lot of time to work on the podcast and social media, and I've realized with that time that I don't love it. It's not something I wake up and get excited about to make reels or make stuff for social media. I still love doing the podcast, but when we're in kind of a lull of Star Wars, it was hard to get inspired to talk about Star Wars. So I guess what I'm trying to say, I don't want this to turn into a ramble, but moving forward, I'm really excited to be a part of Culture Wave and Cinema Wave because that social media aspect, while I can help them and contribute to them, it's not my sole focus. I get to do exactly what I love to do, and that's get in the studio and talk about things that I care about or I have legitimate criticisms about. And something that has been really rewarding for me with them is just feeling validated that these years of work that I've put into my craft of podcasting has paid off. I do feel confident talking with other people about this stuff. It's great to get compliments on my critiques and my analysis of things. That's always what I've wanted, and I've gotten it with Star Wars, but now getting it outside of Star Wars is extremely validating because you guys know I love Star Wars, so the fact that I get that same validation from other mediums of anime or other animated projects, that feels really good. I'm not a one-hit wonder. I don't just talk about Star Wars, which is just one of my many loves. Star Wars is definitely my first and biggest love, but I do feel I have a good critical eye for a lot of these things. And I think now you guys could start to connect the dots that contributing to Cinema Wave and also trying to produce my own episodes for the Mark of Balance podcast moving forward, there's going to be a very big drop in time commitment that I could have to the social media aspect of the Instagram page. And personally, I'm okay with that because I didn't find joy in doing the social media aspect of running a podcast page. So this is ultimately saying that the Instagram page will probably drop a lot less content than usual. My ultimate goal would just be to post that I'm dropping an episode on Thursday and then uploading that to YouTube. So I have my podcast on YouTube as well on all the streaming platforms that you can usually listen on. Now, I know that's basically suicide for the podcast because the reels are really what bring eyes to the podcast. But honestly, the peace of mind will be so worth it for me because at the end of the day, this is a hobby and I want to keep it that way. And I don't know if you guys have seen on Instagram, but a lot of my reels for Ahsoka and some of my recent reels have been getting very negative comments and not exactly like well-crafted negative comments. They're just very spiteful, and I'm always open for conversation. That's the point of this podcast, and I welcome criticism of my criticism because I'm putting myself out there, and that leaves me wide open. Like, you have every right to criticize my thoughts, but most of the time on social media, as you guys all know, no intelligent conversation is happening, and it's just a negativity again in my life that I just don't need, especially when it's associated with a hobby. A hobby shouldn't be something that brings that much negativity and anxiety into your life. So I just want to cut that out especially transitioning into a new job and working with CinemaWave, sorry. So I know I mentioned a YouTube page. I have one. I have not posted to it yet. I'm still working out the kinks on uploading and transitioning all my old podcasts to, audiograms that encompass the entire podcast episodes that I've released over the past 3 years. But that's definitely going to take some time. And I am just letting you guys know that extra time that I have outside of recording, I'm going to really put into those YouTube videos instead of reels that I might post and they get some looks, some don't. It's really exciting when they get a lot. It's really depressing when they don't get many because there is so much time put into them. So I just want to put that energy into YouTube moving forward. I really appreciate you guys understanding that. I know it's probably not great for my podcast, but it is going to be great for my mental health and all that. So again, thank you guys for staying with me on this journey. I hope you check out my content over on CinemaWave and Culture Wave. They're a great group of people that I'm excited to continue working with and to talk Star Wars and all the other things that I'm passionate about in media and entertainment. I hope this episode didn't come off complainy or anything in the realm of me, feel bad for me, because that's not it. I just tried to be as open and honest with you guys as possible. And this is a hobby, so I did it to myself. Like, this is on me, like, not on anyone to feel bad for me. Just wanted to be very transparent with all of you moving forward with the page, considering we've been doing this for 3 years. And, I think this is just the next evolution of me figuring out what this podcast is, because it's always evolving. You always have to change and transition into new eras. And, last year I was really into reels. Like, I did so much work to refine my reels, and it was great. I think they are in a really good spot. I just don't want to put the time in that I've recently put into it because I don't love it, and also I just feel like my life is going to get a lot busier, and it's just not going to be sustainable. So moving forward, really look for pretty basic posts on the Thursdays when the podcast drops, and YouTube, hopefully I can get out the kinks in that and put those out pretty regularly for my backlog to grow the channel that way. So once it gets on YouTube, you very much don't have to worry about all the social media stuff. Just let the YouTube algorithm do its work and let the thumbnails speak for themselves. And of course, the content that I'm making, let that speak for itself. As for new podcast episodes, I do think there's going to be a bit of a lull in the next couple weeks unless we get any big news. I really am not feeling inspired to talk about too many things in the Star Wars realm currently. There is a big project in the background that I'm working on that I don't want to reveal until it's in a better spot, but that's something I'm really excited about. But again, I'm kind of in a Star Wars lull right now where I'm not very inspired to go into the galaxy far, far away. So I do think there won't be too many episodes dropping, barring any major news. And of course, if the Acolyte or Skeleton Crew drops in the spring, that'll probably be when there will be a big kickstart to the channel. But as of right now, I wouldn't expect too much in the way of dropping episodes. Again, sorry for that. But this episode was just to be very open and honest about the state of the channel moving forward. So that about does it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know. Was that an enjoyable episode? I can't really tell, but I hope you guys appreciated it in its honesty over the past 14 or 13 minutes. But seriously, thank you guys all for the past 3 years. Crazy to say. 3 years in the podcast game. Ew, I just said the podcast game, but that's what it is, and I'm in it. And I'm in it 2 times now in Star Wars Mark of Balance and Culture Wave. And I'm pumped about it, and I'm proud of myself. I feel validated. I feel like I'm bringing something to both podcasts and both genres and mediums and everything that they cover. I feel good. I feel confident, and I'm not afraid to say that. And I'm looking forward to giving you guys content wherever there is content being put out that I'm a part of, if that even made sense. But thank you guys again. If you enjoyed this episode, if you enjoy the podcast overall, please leave a like on whatever streaming platform you're listening on. Ratings, sorry, don't leave a like. You can't do that. You can leave ratings, which would be great. Please do that. Reviews, ratings, all that. And even though this whole episode was telling you about how little I'm going to be posting on my Instagram, but if you don't follow me already, go follow me on that Instagram at @star_wars_mark of balance. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and may the force be with you. Peace.